All right, everyone, welcome to the first Vodcast. I love these things because we kind of get to see what's going on in the internet. So, like, whatever you might be searching for, we're going to test or figure out if it's a good search result or whether or not it's like useless. But one of the things we're going to talk about today as we go through our search experience to help you become a more informed peruser of the internet, at least when it comes to figuring out what you should do about your work, education, resources, etc. So what we're talking about today is career pathways. And I air quoted that on purpose, not because I just love air quotes. It's because career pathways are almost an oxymoron. I do believe that there are good intentions when people say, hey, if you're in high school, college, if you're thinking about what you want to do next, what is my career path? Well, I don't know, and I'm an older person, and I've been through many careers. I don't know if I've ever followed a path. Maybe that's because I've been very blessed to work for some amazing companies with amazing managers that allowed me to spread my wings based on what I could provide value to the company for. Or maybe it's just because they never really were a thing in the first place. So career pathways are something that organizations formally try to devise to say, if you've gone here, then logically you should take your next step. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. But what does that have to do with education? Well, if you're watching this, you could have a relative that is in sixth grade, and you could have somebody who is in high school. You yourself could be in college. You could be a parent of somebody who is trying to figure out what they need to do for education now. Or maybe you're just thinking of yourself, like, how do I get ready for whatever it is that I want to do next in life? And what does education, what would be my educational resources if I were to follow a career path? Oh my gosh, I almost fell. I hope you guys didn't catch that. Okay, so the career pathways, we're going to look up, and what I have showed you today are two different conversations. One is a very old and repetitive conversation that people work hopes to break. And the other one is more future forward looking and how you can possibly think of associating the learning that you need, the knowledge building activity you need. If you choose formal education, that's on you. That's in line with your career goals, your work goals. Maybe it's a full iterative pathway. I don't know, TBD, that's your own journey. But let's figure out what education is thought of today in its connection with your ability to achieve your career goals. You do not need a college degree to be successful. Of course not. But I think that depends on what you define as success. If your definition of success is to achieve a paper diploma, maybe you are somebody who just loves and geeks out on research. Maybe you are wanting to be the next best physician. Well, in those cases, yeah, I'm sorry, but a degree is totally necessary because you can't get into the more sophisticated brain thought without actually investing in some sort of formal structure. Because that design of that formal structure for those to satisfy those passions kind of makes sense. But this particular article is talking about how 1 in 12 students now at community colleges who previously earned a bachelor's degree but later decided to change career paths go back to school for a different job. This is because they felt pressure from a bachelor's degree right out of high school. Well, if you go to public school and your public school counselors and your public school administrators are reinforcing a very outdated process of launching high schoolers or even young adults into the future of work, then yeah, sorry, you are going to get that because there's a whole lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes of school administration that you as viewers, maybe you have a niece or a nephew who's in sixth grade who is now being asked to make decisions for the rest of their life at sixth grade, which we'll talk about in a separate episode. But this particular content is all about saying, if you were to evaluate the value of your education versus the return on what you would be learning, then you might not have chosen the same formal education path. But it does go on to explain the value of having very skills-centric focus on choosing what you want to learn as it relates to your job. I want to note, like, it's not really genius. It's kind of Captain Obvious, right? If we are supporting our future success and that's how we're making decisions, then great. This article was written in 2023. So that's about a year ago. But the conversations around pathways, meaning how do you take somebody from a formal education process into something that's more skill centric so that they can make the better choices in education, been around since like 1970 at the latest. So this article I do think is relatively fair. This search came up from Is College Right for Me? And the reason why I do think it's fair is because it's giving you some non-emotional statistics about what happens to people as they choose their education paths. And then it's also giving you some alternatives if that formal education path was not the right one for you to endorse your career path or your career choices. Let's go to the next one. And this one is the one that's been full out there forever. Like, I almost want to go to sleep on this kind of conversation because I'm thinking, why are we still having the conversation? Is rising student debt harming the US economy? All right, well, my first disclaimer here, this search is all related to, is college right for me? You get a whole bunch of information around trying to inform you about the debt to income risks, the disconnectedness between the realistic job market and what you're investing in as your education choice, and also the time that you have to invest in it. So I do think the search results, regardless of your search engine, are bringing up really interesting, thought-provoking content to make you actually think, maybe something like pepelwerk could just simply simplify this for me, and then I don't have to do all of the searches, and I can just be like, hey, this is a picture of me, and now you help me build my future. Of course, that's what we're here for. But this particular article is important to discuss because it's April 16th of 2024. I mean, this is just a few months ago. And we all know that student debt is something that can impact someone's ability to have really a stable income for over a decade after they've graduated. So just think about it. If you follow this really traditional old school path of I'm going to graduate high school and then I'm going to go into college, but I'm going into college for something that's not highly specialized. Remember that doctor comment I had, or you want to be a rocket scientist? You need to stay there. Stay in formal education. Get the rich university, thought-provoking, structured path that you need in order to be really successful in those kind of fields. But 60 to 70% of our jobs are just not that. They just don't require that for, like I said, 60 to 70% of the jobs, which means 60 to 70% of the people. So is it really harming the economy? I would say if government policies go through that say taxpayers need to pay for all of this debt, well, yeah, because where are we going to get this money from? And it kind of goes like full circle. The summary points here are really important to read. It talks about, basically reinforces the statement that I started with, which this is for decades. Like we have been dealing with the debt conversation for a long time. The second one is the way that the student loan debt has ballooned over the years because people are making hope-based decisions. And I will come back to that. It's not a government problem to fix. It's not an economy problem to fix. It's an individual problem to address and just be very honest about. And then, of course, we're talking about that whole debt relief proposal that came from Joe Biden. So the really what I want to focus on, you read this, and all you're going to do is get some reinforced information about how debt related to college or university expenses exists, how much it costs, etc. But I do want to take time, and I'm going to kind of take a breather here from content sharing, but I do want to actually talk to you about why this really is an individual problem to solve. If you see yourself as somebody who's personally satisfied with a degree, well, you made the choice. You are trying to solve something for yourself, and you've agreed at any cost to make that happen. Now, pepelwerk's job as your AI career assistant is to take what you aspire to be, your goals, and help you create a realistic, reasonable plan between work and education and all of the resources that you need to make you happen in the most effective and efficient way. So if you're choosing to go the traditional path, or you're not using sophisticated tools like pepelwerk to help you walk into the future with better money decisions, better working decisions, and a plethora of really competent subject matter experts that are helping you develop your knowledge, well, dealer's choice. You can't Google your way out of that. You have to reflect on why you're making the decisions, the way you're making the decisions, so that you can evolve with work.